Alright, happy Saturday, beautiful people. Let's get straight into it. It is the weekend, our chance to capitalize and get ahead. I just realized that I had both my Forex and crypto updates from yesterday, which I uploaded, and both of them had no sound. So I fixed that issue. It's been tested, and this does have sound. But apologies if you did watch yesterday's update and there was no sound. That was an error on my behalf. We'll go to USDT dominance, or yeah, USDT dominance. We are sort of distributing. It's not a clean distribution. I don't think we're going to get a confirmation. I think we're going to continue going higher. Personally, I think we're going to continue to do this. The only reason I'm saying so is based on this very fast expansion, leaving demand behind. So if we went up slowly and didn't leave demand and we were just slowly moving up, creating that third tap and then breaking structure, then yes, I would say this is a really nice distribution opportunity. But we have left no return to zone behind us, absolutely no return to zone. And we have pumped up quite quickly, leaving that demand, preventing price from going back down, at least in the short term. And we do expect some sort of rebound. So as much as we have formed distributive price action, I feel like soon we're gonna continue going higher, and we might drop in the short term just to mitigate this demand. But then I think overall we're gonna continue moving up higher, which will mean that alts will move lower. We'll look at Bitcoin for the time being, and pretty similar, same scenario, but the opposite, obviously. Initially, I was looking at this for a potential accumulation model. At least from here to like here, we had an okay return to zone. Not the best, not the worst. But considering how we've come up and then how we've come back down straight away, I do think that we're going to continue going lower. And a lot of this was charted up yesterday in the video with no sound, but point being is I have charted up some liquidity here, which I think will get taken out, whether it's now or later. I do feel like this will get taken out at some point. How good is a coffee? All right. Yeah, that's it for Bitcoin for the time being. I'm not seeing anything else that really should be getting charted up, at least at the moment. Yeah, we'll see what happens. What do I expect right now for Bitcoin is that? Okay, we have supply here. It's not clean, but it is there. And I expect lower overall for Bitcoin at the moment. I can see us slowly climbing up here, mitigating supply, and then aggressively breaking structure back down. But only time will tell. Alerts have been set. ETH, it wasn't doing a whole lot. Oh, it was accumulating actually. My apologies. And then I think we do have supply below, or above, sorry, which has not yet been mitigated. I feel like we'll definitely tap into this in the next hour or two, or three maybe. This accumulation is still on for now for ETH. If entries permit, I will take them. Yeah, stay patient is the plan here with ETH. And then obviously it is, obviously you've got supply above, which you should be paying close attention to. And the return to zone is nice. Like, it's genuinely a nice return to zone. So I will look to potentially take some sort of accumulation here on ETH if conditions persist ourselves, or allow us. If we break through supply would be nice, and then slowly come back down and then break again, and that will be my entry confirmation. In terms of alts now, I've charted these up all yesterday in yesterday's update with no sound, so there's nothing more to, I checked on this morning, there's nothing more to do, but point being for your alts, really keep an eye out on a Litecoin here. This is looking really, really nice for a distribution. Probably one of the nicest setups I've seen in the last few weeks in crypto. Let me draw this properly. No. There we go. Yeah, return to zone looks beautiful. We got liquidity and supply above, so I will not be looking to take any sort of short. Obviously, we've mitigated this supply, but as I said in yesterday's video, which you did not hear me, if this is a third tap, I'm not considering this as a third tap because it's just way too close to tap 2. So you've got your tap 1, tap 2, and then for this to be a valid third tap, which it semi is because it does mitigate supply, it's just way too close to this tap 2, so I'm not going to be taking it. And if price ends up doing this, then so be it, but I'm not going to chase this, and this isn't a trade that I'd be looking to take because of the requirements. The requirement is a valid third tab, both from a distance perspective and from whatever it sweeps, whether it's supply or liquidity. It's mitigated supply, but from a distance perspective, it's terrible because it's just so close to tap 2. Hence why I'm not taking this as a valid tap 3, and I am going to wait in case we get something like this, and then we mitigate supply, sweep liquidity, and move down. This would be a very valid third tab, which I'll happily take and confidently take as well. So that is the plan for Litecoin, which remains the same. Like, take a screenshot of this if you want, chart up on your chart, but this could be a really, really good setup going into even maybe not necessarily end of this for the rest of the weekend. You might get a potential entry Monday or Tuesday, so we'll see. The other one is Doge, which is looking really, really good as well. Now, from a higher time frame, if you zoom out, let's go on the 12 hour, have a look at this. This was in the initial range that I was charting, which is still a fairly decent range, guys. Like, this is a really, really good range. Look at the return to zone here, starting from the range low. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful return to zone. And reason for this message is pretty simple. I'm not going to focus on this higher time frame zone. I'm going to focus on the slightly smaller zone because it just looks cleaner. If we get a confirmation and we get our entry, I enter. The second we hit range low, I'm going to de-risk, maybe just take a 25% profit just so I'm not at a loss and I can't lose. And essentially I'm just going to be running it all the way down to here. And this could give us a insane risk to reward if we take an entry here and we run it down all the way here. Especially if it aligns with USDT dominance. So we will see what happens there. But Doge is looking really, really good, and definitely chart this up on your end, guys, because we could be getting some confirmations. Based on this being the 45 minute, we could be getting some confirmations like tomorrow, end of tomorrow. So it will be very, very interesting. The other one was XRP. This is also looking pretty good. Not much has changed since I charted up yesterday, but once again, beautiful, beautiful return to zone. This should be drawn up to here. yeah, lovely, lovely return to zone here. We've got our liquidity. We'll see what happens there. From memory, there wasn't really any supply, I think. Like, yeah, that's been mitigated. Nothing on the 45. Yeah, so you do have things. You have an inside bar candle there, which isn't a valid market structure. We don't use inside bar candles as a valid structure, but maybe there's a 3-minute structured supply. Maybe it's just the 1 minute, eh? That's been mitigated. Yeah, so you kind of just have 1 minute structure supply, which has been ever so slightly mitigated, but we can still use this as an overall supply area. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, XRP is looking fairly decent for a distribution. Keep an eye out on there. Also, everything here has been already taken. You can see supply has been mitigated, so there's no more reason for us to go higher. There just isn't. And we've also got quite a bit of demand below us and some nice lows. Some nice higher lows lining up here, which are perfect liquidity targets. So yeah, definitely expect lower here as well. And then what else do we have? I think we did have something on hype. Yes, so hype, technically speaking, has formed somewhat of a Model 1. Didn't enter on this. Pretty easy to see why. We have so much demand below. And we've also moved up so quick. Like, this is such an abrupt pump up. Which I'll never be trading something like this. In the ideal world, what I would like to see is an extended tap. We quickly drop down, mitigate demand, and then we slowly come back up. Ever so slowly. Mitigate supply, and then flush down. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for hype, but once again, only time will tell. And I think that was it for alts that I had yesterday, unless any other setups have presented themselves in the last, like, in the last 12 hours. I wouldn't think so. This could be something, but yeah, this has all been mitigated. Yeah, I'll be using this as a liquidity target should we get any moves up in here. We do have some supply in here. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be coming back up. Like, we are leaving quite a bit of supply behind us. And we're just so low into the discount section of this range as well. So, like, the lower you're getting, the lower the chances are of us coming back up and sweeping any extremes that we had in the premium section. XLM. Yeah, same thing. This is a prime example of what I just talked about. We've come so low where it's just looking, yeah, you're not going to be coming up now and sweeping any of that extreme. We've also left heavy supply here. Yeah, so these alts aren't really looking to move up anytime soon, just from looking at the technicals. With not a whole lot. Ton. Plenty of demand below us. Maybe something locally here. Although I'm not the biggest fan of it. We're within our DL range, so maybe we temporarily come up and mitigate some of this supply. I can very much use this as demand. Although I do think that we're going to be going a lot lower. It's a very ugly range this is. Very ugly range. We've even got liquidity here. So I would not be looking to take any form of accumulations in here, but it will be interesting to see how and what price decides to do. Not valid supply here. Alright, let's move on to Pump Fun. Ran right through this, supply still stands. We've swept this liquidity. Yeah, not a whole lot happening in Pump Fun at the moment. On Pump Fun, however you want to say it. This has become invalid. A lot of supply here, which has been mitigated. We got unmitigated supply here. And not a whole lot happening at the moment. towel. Some structure supply there as well. Do we have supply there? So plenty of supply across the tower chart. Obviously, if you missed yesterday's video, which I don't blame you because there was no sound, I go through the potential 7RR setup I had here in Tau, starting from this range. And then you had a little range within range here, which is what we missed the entry on because I was asleep at the time. Bam. Oh, sorry, the starting point was actually here. Yes. Yeah, so this was the tower short I had, which I missed out on as I was asleep. And yeah, plenty of reasoning to make that run lower, just because of all the way this chart is looking. But yeah, that was that. Is there demand in there? Yeah, we can kind of use this as demand. A lot of lows here, which should get taken. We've mitigated supply here. I'll leave it up. Yeah. Okay. XMR, this accumulation is looking like it's probably not going to happen. Also quite a bit of lows behind us here. Demand below, as so. Not a whole lot here on Arenda. At least not a whole lot that I'm interested in. Quant. This will all go. Bam. Quant's moving very weird. So we'll see what this pair decides to do. Let's look at cake. Cake looks to want to go lower. Not a whole lot that interests me there. All this demand was mitigated. Aave front ran this liquidity and is now looking to complete this range. Yeah, I'll leave it up for now. Sui is also moving down in towards this demand and is continuing to do that. Not a whole lot going on here. Sol running through demand, most likely going to go lower. Asta, still terrible price action. Link, we are in demand currently. But regardless, it's just rangy price action, which I'm not much of a fan of. Bitcoin Cash, not a whole lot going on here. Trump is dumping, and I think Brett was dumping as well. Yeah, that's it for today's crypto update. Honestly, as much as these most recent we haven't seen that good price action. These four up here are looking really good. Definitely keep an eye out. Pay attention, set your alerts, set your chart up just how I've set mine up. That'll probably be the easiest thing for you guys to do, and just, yeah, stay alert. You don't have to stay on the charts, but just have your alerts set and be willing to look as soon as you see the alerts come up. But yeah, Litecoin looks really good for a distribution. Doge looks really good for a distribution. XRP looks really good for a distribution, and Hype looks pretty good as well, should it, as I said, should it mitigate this demand and then slowly move its way back up, mitigate supply, and then come back down. That is the expectational order flow there. Yeah, thank you all for watching. This was a lot of info here, especially on these four pairs. So yeah, keep an eye out. I'll catch you all, do an update tomorrow, definitely, and see you all soon. Peace.